All right, we ready to talk about sexy time?
Sexy time.
Sexy.
I don't know how sexy this movie is, but let's talk about it.
It didn't give me a bone.
Well, my that was a joke because people were saying, "Oh, it's a porno," and it's like this is not a porno.
It's about as far as you can get.
Horny at times.
It's horny, but there's a difference between horny and porno.
No, I said
I just want to say, Jim, what the fuck is this? And I didn't understand this fucking thing, dude.
I don't know how to review it.
That's why I chose it for your education.
I have no idea how to review this movie.
This is like 4 bad movies cut together at random.
Excuse me.
And the best
This
one, and the best
is a
one.
good movie. This is a good movie.
All right. Okay.
No, that's not a good movie. The best parts are the
No, it's
documentary
the
parts
best
in the
of the
beginning.
4. It's the
No.
best of 4.
No, this is the best. This is the best one, and it just should have been this.
Well, that's the one that you're pointing at, Todd. The one that you're pointing at, Todd, that's a Louis Buñuel film that was stuffed into this movie, and I don't know how the fuck that happened.
I was going to say
Because Duchamp, it won the Louis Buñuel award.
I saw that. That's why when her head was on the table, I'm like, yeah, this is Louis Buñuel. I get it.
Yeah, that
now.
sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah,
But I saw this in
it was
81.
fine.
I saw this in 81, and back then there was a Yugoslavia and there was a Soviet Union, and so the language that blonde kept talking about, the whole permanent revolution and Trotskyite thing, it made sense. The thing is, the ideas behind this film are so incredibly dead.
I
You
didn't
know, that's the
understand this
thing.
film at all. I didn't understand. I understood.
Okay,
I would,
I was never bored. But
I was never bored. You're right. I took social studies in college. I understand the things that we're talking about.
Between this and Tenet, I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
Jim. So was there a big debate about whether sexuality should be verboten, or whatever the Russian word for verboten is, should not be or should be encouraged? Was there like a big schism in communist theory or something?
Yeah, I mean, it's bourgeois. It's
yeah,
anti-revolutionary.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part was
all the energy
Problem
you're
is,
spending.
the Soviets were a bunch of prudes.
That's
all
the thing.
all the energy you're spending on sexuality is energy that you could be spending on revolution.
And
against
also,
the
I
bourgeois.
think the best parts of this movie though are the cultish like physical spasms that these people fucking have.
Well,
Really?
That was the most amazing shit in this movie when they're
I was
fucking
just
bodies are
exhausted watching that. I was like, I can't vibrate that long. Like,
Yeah.
I can't vibrate that long.
Yeah, that
Who
comes
can?
I mean,
a horror film reaction, a horror fan reaction, because that was the most horrific thing. I mean, that was scarier than the last 5 horror movies I've seen.
Oh yeah.
Crashing
That's
around.
like Ari Aster. Ari Aster's like taking notes, dude, watching this.
my God.
part of that
Mommy.
is like Vicky. You met Vicky, my first wife, my late.
No,
wife.
I had never had the pleasure.
You never had the pleasure.
Oh.
But she took me to this place, this sort of semi-commune that they lived on in the early 70s. And she goes, "Oh yeah, you see that shack out there? That's the Screaming Shack. And I'm like, the Screaming Shack? And she's like, "Oh yeah, we'd go out there and do primal screaming."
Oh yeah,
And
primal
it's
scream
like-
therapy, Rolfing, that stuff. It's like
It-
part of its
It's
era.
a very private, personal thing, and they had rooms full of people.
Yeah.
in New York.
That's how it was. I was talking offline to Jim about this, and this was a great chronicle of what happened after, say, Woodstock with the counterculture in America. It went from being this against the war and fairly loosely organized to a bunch of little cults, little interests.
So
you got to see the Plaster Casters. You get to go see.
So we go from how cruel humans can be to each other in the first film to how stupid we can be as individuals in this film.
Not stupid. No, hold
You
on.
have to also, remember, it's post-war. The Eisenhower years were repressed.
Yeah.
Women went back to work because that was their job.
Mhm.
I mean, they went back to the house because they were working in the armament industry. And, I mean, if you think about it, people were like being repressed. And I mean, he just picked up on the Wilhelm Reich thing because he's an interesting character. He's the only one.
I did think that was interesting. I thought the documentary stuff about him was interesting.
Yeah.
Except even that has like its little absurd moments. Because remember, they interview like the barber, who is also the sheriff. Or the,
Yeah,
who's the
But
cop.
it felt like something.
Barber.
Well, that's why I liked it. Suddenly, it felt like it's its own. I think we're alone now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like in the
yeah,
beginning, right? Like it was like
no. Part of me did want to go to Orchard Supply and buy like a bunch of plywood, make
Or
an
it was
orgone
like-
box
it was
with
like
a
waiting
garage.
orgone
it was like
Let's
waiting
try
for
it out.
Guffman or something in the beginning.
yeah,
you know?
well, I mean, and it had that quality.
No,
Because I think, as Scott has pointed out, this movie is really, it's a documentary about the end of the 60s and
Yeah,
the beginning of the
that's
70s.
the thing. Yeah.
And
Also, Tad,
it's not necessarily a positive ending to the 60s. I mean, they thought, oh, free sex and love, it's gonna like,
Part of it,
solve all
the
problems.
narrative sequences and the Yugoslavian stuff is kind of like watching a Russian rock and roll band.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like they're trying
was
to emulate
weird.
the free love thing in there, and they don't quite get it, or they just kind of talking around it a little bit.
She gets a
Well, they had
bunch
the
of-
naked Serbian girl that was just really nice, but it's but
Okay,
I don't know why
that shit was hilarious.
it was hilarious.
She just keeps showing up in the background of the scene,
Yeah.
and it's just like I'm gonna lay down here and I'm gonna put my legs up and I'm just gonna split my legs, or like I'm gonna come in here and be like, can I have some of those? Do you want some cookies?
and
I want
then
some
and then,
milk.
and then
The guy
that other
starts
guy,
busting through the wall.
and then, that other guy's his best game is being the Kool-Aid man, like
Yeah.
through.
Hands down, that is the best scene. That was like a Fellini movie when he comes through the wall.
It was Fellini.
Yeah.
That was
And
pretty
she's
nice.
holding the brick too. She's
Yes.
like,
holding a brick.
I know, and it probably meant something. There was probably some weird communist point being made.
well, so
Of the
during
four-
during some of those during
No, it's a proletariat breaking through the walls of bourgeois. Blah blah blah.
no. That's the whole point, is that she's trying to make the point that it is proletariat to have sex and to have free love and stuff like that. And he's the one who comes up and grabs her with the cops.
Yeah.
Like he comes up and they're singing the song and grabs her and takes her away so she can't be like prosecuted or persecuted or whatever. Also, the scene behind Chris right now is another one of those things where it's like every time anything sexual happens in this movie, it is immediately undone by whatever comes next. It's just like, bam! No, look at this
I
trash.
disagree.
Look
Some
at
of
this
the
why
trash.
did I think
badly edited.
of
I think it's well edited.
No, Jed, you're gonna say
No, but
part of me thought of like both.
never more
both,
than
like-
when they cut from the giant erect penis close up to the face of Stalin.
That always elicited laughs at the Petaluma Plaza Theater.
Mash cut.
Well, you got
Oh,
for the documentary sequences. I did think of I Think We're Alone Now, and I thought of Waiting for Guffman, and for some reason, Tad, I thought of Tickled as well when they were gyrating and shit and like all that fucking.
it made me think
But
of
you know what I like
Hotel
behind
1,
Scott
2,
though?
3. What?
You know what I like behind Scott? I like
What?
some of the filmmaking, and what I mean is, I love how he would play American like Coca-Cola commercials,
Oh,
or like big ass like.
This is so Adam Curtis.
And then he would
Like,
show
Adam
these
Curtis
like he
is
would show
definitely
something
borrowed from
Yeah,
this.
so he's juxtaposing, he's showing polar opposites, and I love that.
Also, Americans were big on jingles back then. Jesus Christ.
Oh, that I had a flashback to Mad Men with the Coca-Cola.
Everyone in the Bay
Yes.
here from the Bay Area, we know where everyone knows what Pete Ellis Dodge is.
Yes.
Phyllis Dodge, 1095.
Nice, well, Camino Real, Sunny.
But also, do we have? Here's a question though. Here's a question though.
1-800
Berkeley, San Lorenzo,
And
Cupertino.
it was really Ellis.
Oh, nice.
That's
Here's a
1-800 Cars
question.
for Kids for people from.
Pretty much. Hey, they're effective, man.
Here's a question though.
Have we also
In
have
this
we all
film,
seen, Education Connection video?
What?
That was a while ago, John.
Education Connection. That's not as
Yeah.
old as those jingles you were just doing, my
Yeah,
friend.
I know.
Pretty much.
well, I have a question about what Scott's background. Those like, do we have?
We
There's
need
something.
information on your background, comrade.
There's
Yeah.
something about is this film sort of, is it a good time to watch this film? Because do we have perhaps like one of the first explorations of like a transgender person?
You know who that is, right?
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
He
That's,
quoted
one of
the
Warhol's
song
favorites.
lyrics.
Yeah, it's just a factory member.
Fucking Lou Reed song.
Oh, that's a factory member from Warhol's days.
Yeah, yeah.
They're both the woman who draws the people masturbating is also a Warhol.
In a circle, yeah. The Plaster Cast was a part of the whole Warhol thing. Yeah,
Speeding away, thought she was James Dean for a day from Walking the Wild Side.
yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's them. Yeah.
Lou Reed, love Lou Reed. Yeah.
Also,
I still don't know how to review
Of the four terrible movies.
the
Of
Plaster
the four
Cast.
terrible movies.
What?
Go ahead. Plaster Cast or what?
The Plaster Cast is another one of those things where it's like, if you're a person who's turned on by erect penises, like you get the erect penis, and then immediately it's just we're putting hot plaster all
Yeah.
over this penis.
My
Like,
my whole thought was like, what happens when it's done? How do you get your dick out of that?
you get
To
soft,
let it
man.
go flaccid.
You know what's weird is that they did that to commemorate famous people or people they liked. Somewhere in the world there is a plaster cast of Jimi Hendrix's dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I did that last week. Is that not cool? Is it-
Oh,
no.
see, that's a TMI thing. See, we're talking about personally. We got
No,
so-
now they now
unless they're coming and making a comeback, that could be possible.
no
right?
now they use.
It's not my
now they
fault
use
when they ask me for
inflating-
it, I say
they use
yes.
Inflating foam, and you have an
Oh, doesn't that heat up?
well,
Yeah.
but plaster, you have to heat up plaster too. Like,
True. No,
Well,
is it?
because you don't want them to lose the erection.
No,
Right, exactly.
No, I thought it was just I haven't seen it since 40 freaking years. 40, really?
Set up in the Criterion Collection.
Well, it's because it's like outside. It's an outsider film. It's a little weird.
It's definitely original.
I'm
Don't
going to point
understand
out
it.
once again that the Criterion Collection put out Apocalypse as a fucking movie too. Like,
Yeah.
did
Hey, they did a Toxic Avenger at one time.
Did they?
which is a good movie.
Which
like,
You don't
is
do
a good
you don't do
movie.
unless it's on the channel. You don't do one time. If you get a Criterion release, it's always a Criterion release.
They made a disc. They didn't do Blu-ray, but they did DVD.
Dude,
Yeah, okay.
sadly they fucking did Armageddon. So let's
Okay, well, listen.
Hey,
So I got it. We ready to
Yeah.
sum up? Are we ready to sum up here? I guess there's not much to say about this
well,
film.
I don't know how to review this movie, but I was never bored.
Yeah.
The Yugoslavian stuff is the best of the four bad movies that this is. And then the New York guy singing the songs.
Thule Kupferberg.
That was
Jesus
odd.
Christ. Oh my God. I just kept turning the volume down and down and down.
Yeah.
Jackass with
The
the
Fugs. You should look them up.
Oh, the Fugs. Look it up. Those guys are great.
that who I was listening to?
yeah, the fuck.
Yeah.
The Fugs, yeah.
Kill for peace. Kill for peace. Those guys.
Yeah, that was
No,
That
they
was
were
their
they were an
second
important
album.
band. They were a political kind of like a anarcho-syndicalist band back then.
yeah,
They got a big rally together outside the Pentagon to levitate it during the Vietnam War. They want everyone to
That
stay
worked
in
real
concert.
well. They definitely levitated the Pentagon.
Well, it didn't work,
Right.
but they tried.
And that jackass with the helmet, the army helmet on, running
Oh,
around.
that was my least favorite part. Was the fucking
That's the worst part
That's
of
the guy from the Fugs.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
oh yeah, that's the fucking worst. Listen,
I want to point out one thing that I actually really liked is there's all of the different parts where there's people vibrating. Like there's the woman in the doctor's office, and then there's the people in
In the see-through bra.
group,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very
go
nice.
back to the woman and blah blah blah. But they contrast that with the video of the guy getting electroshock therapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
oh, that was
he-
sad.
He's vibrating too, and like I thought that was really interesting. Was
Yeah.
Do you think the filmmaker was putting down this American New Age stuff, or do you think he was trying to connect with it?
no, he
It's
was
hard to
definitely on
say.
board.
Here's
like-
the thing though, if you get shocked, you have a legitimate physical reason to be vibrating. These other people, they're fucking cuckoo.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There was a
what they wanted
contrast. Like they were.
Oh,
there was
You've
contrast.
never had mental illness in your family, Jared.
But also, I
Fucking just deal with it. Grow up. Be a fucking
Oh
person.
yeah.
Oh
I mean-
man. Woof. Okay, let's not get that discussion started.
Really.
but also
You should have a little lemur on your shoulder
Whoa, man. Oh,
or a bush baby.
no.
I'm
Little-
glad
Oh,
somebody
there it is.
brought up the shock therapy though, because it made me think of several times in this movie, particularly that made me think of Titicut Follies.
Yeah.
Maybe. You know what remind me of is the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. This was I get
Going back
the
to our
stuff in New
fun
York
school?
was a background for that film.
It is kind of a tribute to that version of New York.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
filthy, weird, kind of everyone hates everything and everybody version
The
of New York.
grubby 70s New York.
Yeah,
And she walks into the light post at one point too.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Oh yeah.
That is very true.
So, God, thumbs up, thumbs down. Anybody?
I'm gonna thumbs up it, but
Ah,
like 60 degrees thumbs up.
Here's the thing. I didn't know what was going to happen ever.
No, that's actually a good thing about any movie, really, not knowing what's going to happen. I'm going to give it, when I first saw it, it was 100%, and I'm going to actually bring it down to like 75 because I think the politics are really stale now.
and
Yeah, I mean, we've gone beyond the Soviet.
Yeah, I
Union.
know. It's like, it's definitely
Well,
a historical
and also,
document now.
Like I feel like as a society, like masturbation is much more acceptable now.
And yeah, the whole idea of dealing with your feelings.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
You know,
like
this is like
if
this
I'd
is like
seen
short-
it, like if I'd been alive when this movie came out and I'd seen this, I would have been like, oh, this is really interesting because this society is super repressed that we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
now I'm like,
Not so
yeah, people
Well,
like sex,
I just
and
didn't
that's
understand.
cool.
I just didn't understand the correlation between politics and sexuality. I just didn't
Well,
get it.
well, it shows
No.
we've made progress, hasn't it? Doesn't
Well,
it?
the fascists hate
the fascists are all incels.
right.
Yeah.
The fascists hate sex, which is a problem that we still have to this day.
They just need to get laid.
They just need to get laid or
I don't
do
think they
some
just need to
drugs.
get laid.
Wait,
They
wait,
just need
wait.
to stop being angry at people who do.
So wait
Like-
a minute. Wait a minute. You mean there's not someone for everyone out there?
Your soulmate is waiting for you. In
No.
death.
When Jim picked this last week, I was like, why do I know the name Wilhelm Reich? Why do I know the name Wilhelm Reich? And as soon as it starts, I'm like, he's the orgone energy guy. Fuck. like I was just like, oh, this bullshit fucking thing I've heard about for my entire life.
Right.
He's the fucking guy.
He's the orgone guy. That's
and
him.
I'm
And
like,
here's the thing: when I was in the 5th grade, I got really interested in UFOs, and
Oh,
once
we all did.
once you do,
Uh-huh.
then you inevitably learn who Wilhelm Reich
Yeah.
is, and you learn about Curlian photography and
The
Euro.
Yeah.
brilliant photography, the thumbprint thing, and
Loch Ness Monster.
Alan Hynek. Remember that guy?
I even
Jay
married
The Loch Ness Monster. It's all.
I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was trying to make a connection between Wilhelm Reich and the Third Reich, and I was just
Oh, no.
an idiot. I don't know what the fuck is
Jared,
going
you're
on.
the babe in the woods here. What did you think of this? I'm just curious. What was your impression of just the politics and
he
the?
gave it
Well,
middle
like
thumb.
I agree. I agree with John. I thought there was like so many different movies going on here.
Oh, okay. So
And-
it felt disjointed then.
Yeah,
but I got it. I understood. Like I understood. I'm like, okay, this is an experimental film. I can get behind an experimental film. This is fucking cool. This is weird. But at the same time, I was like, oh, again, I'm like, I don't understand why communism and sexuality. Okay, what's going on? I don't understand
And
this.
there it is. It's
And
just-
then I do like Louis Buñuel. I'm a big fan, and I saw that it won that award. And then when it got all really absurd in the sort of fictional narrative aspects of this film, I kind of appreciated that because I was like, yeah, I think Buñuel would approve of this kind of like weird, fucking
Yeah.
like sexual, like he's, Buñuel's very
Well, he's all
sexual.
about sexual repression. too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Well, and he
And,
cuts her head off with his skate.
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like
About all the ice skating in this movie.
Which I loved because
And
I'm
the
like,
scene
you know
you
what?
have,
If anyone
Chris.
does a new horror film, they should definitely have someone murder someone with a fucking ice skate.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have a question for Jim. This is the absolute reducto absurdum, like the Occam's razor interpretation of the dramatic part of this. Do you think the Russian was the Russians and their relationship with Yugoslavia, in terms of like
Yeah,
cutting
you
the girl's
know-
head off? Was it like is all so much like a political cartoon in some ways?
Because if you remember, Tito actually held out against the Soviets for a long period because he didn't want, as Lenin says, or Vladimir Ilyich says, the skater, he says, you Yugoslavians are like very independent.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And they were the only
semi-independent.
communist country that didn't toe the line with
No.
Stalin.
Well, I did think of all those flashbacks to was that Lenin or Stalin?
That was Stalin with the with the
Yeah, all the black and white footage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
Stalin.
fabulous propaganda footage in this thing.
And it's all from a famous movie called The Vow, which was
Well, I think that like I thought about today when all that footage was going down, and I'm like, some of these extreme liberals, like, watch out.
Yeah.
I was
don't
like there was so much footage of Stalin. I had never seen all this footage.
No, there was no footage of Stalin. It was all an actor. This guy.
That dude behind you is an actor?
He looks so much like him.
Wow, I had no idea.
Stalin had a square head.
Yeah.
His head was very square.
That's the Nazi soup guy from Seinfeld. Now I
It
recognize
is.
him.
No soup for you.
Who was, by the way, Iranian.
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.